How cool is that? So you can have your data protected locally at home with mirroring on the drive, where the two drives are mirrored continuously, and then with a cloud service you can just push your data straight to the cloud. This is quite a useful way of just backing up your photos on a regular basis so they all collate on the server. So if you didn't want to shift it to the cloud, you can push it here. Now coming over here, you can see Test 1 Media Server. So it's picked up the server automatically. I haven't had to search for it at any detail. Hi guys, today we're unboxing and setting up a NAS server. So this particular one is the Synology DiskStation DS220 Plus. Details are in the description below for anyone thinking of purchasing, including purchasing links. So this NAS server is the successor to the DS218 Plus, and I've owned that one for a number of years without any sort of issues. I did do a lot of research before purchasing it and have been really pleased with it. No issues at all, touch wood so far. So let's open it up and see what you get in the packaging. Okay, so I've laid out all the items you get in the packaging, so let me quickly run through them one by one. Power cable wise, it's got the connector you'd use on a PC, good build quality to it, and 45 centimeters long. You get two Ethernet cables, again, good cable quality, 1.3 meters in length on those. You get a power adapter, and that's 1.1 meters in length, and connector is a DC connector. Quick installation guide, that's all in English, and mostly pictures on how to set this up. You get a set of screws used for installing 2.5-inch hard disks. Let's take a look at the DiskStation. So there's plastic on the front here, so if I just peel that off. You've got a matte black finish all the way around the DiskStation, just to show, and they're branding on both sides there. Coming around the front, you've got a glossy area there, just indicators for each of the lights. USB port here, copy button there, and a power on button. This is a cover, I can just pull it off, reveals the location where the drives are put in, and to pull this out, you just push up, and it just comes out. So that's the caddy, all plasticky as well. And you can see the SATA connections in there. Looking underneath, you've got 4 rubber pads, and that avoids it slipping on the surface. Coming around the back, you can see the fan for ventilation purposes, 2 Ethernet ports on there, USB connection port, DC power point, and a locking point there. Now comparing the new DiskStation with its predecessor, this is the one I currently have, you can see the only difference really is the new one has an additional LAN connection. They both have USB ports at the front, together with copy buttons and power button, and they also have the cover there. Removing the cover, you can just see the same again, 2 caddies in there, and even the design is the same for pulling them out. Coming around the back, you can see the old one has an eSATA port and an additional USB port, whereas the new one has an additional LAN connection and only 1 USB port on the back. And even size-wise, they seem identical. Now you're probably wondering what the major difference is between the old and the new is. Now in terms of CPU, the old one had an Intel Celeron J3355 dual-core 2 GHz, burst up to 2.5 GHz. Now the new one has an Intel Celeron J4025 2-core 2 GHz, burst up to 2.9 GHz with 4 meg of cache on there. In terms of RAM, both of them can take 2 slots, but they come by default with only 1 slot occupied. So the old one had 2 gigs of DDR3L, and the new one has 2 gig of DDR4. Both of them are expandable up to 6 gig. There's no cache on either of them. The old one had 3 USB 3 ports on there and 1 eSATA port, whereas the new one only has 2 USB 3 ports on there. Let's make a start at installing the hard disk. So I've got 2 hard disks here. One is a 10 terabyte, the other one is a 12 terabyte. If they're mirrored, I'll only have 10 terabytes available, just to know. Only because how can you put 12 terabytes of data onto a 10 terabyte disk? So to install this, the process is identical to the DS218 Plus. So you can take the cover off, take the caddy out, and at the sides there's 2 plastic bits. So if I look over here, you can see a slight point coming out of each one, and you can see on each one, and it's just a matter of taking the clips off either side, taking the drive, placing it in position, and the holes where the screw goes, they just marry up with the caddy. So if I take the clip and push it in, and there you go, locks into position. Do the same on the other side. That's clipped in. And then we just take it and then slide it in, and it locks into position. Let's do the same for the other one quickly. And there you go, drives are installed now, covers back on. If I turn this around now, we'll just get this connected up. So the power adapter gets plugged in with the power cable. DC connector goes in over here. 2 Ethernet cables go in there, and I'll plug these 2 Ethernet cables into my router. Everything's connected up now, and I've got my sound level meter, so let's power it on and see what the noise levels are like. Ambient noise levels in the room are about 34.3 decibels. If I now turn it on, okay, with the system initialized, you can see for yourself it was around 45 decibels on there. Now the server's powered on, let's make a start at setting it up. So I'm at my web browser here, and if I just type in find Synology NAS, first link that appears is Find Synology. So if you go to that website, it says improve your browsing experience due to limitations, please go to the following address, click proceed to that. Now I've shown this process previously in other Synology unboxing and setups I've done, so you can refer to those if you want a more detailed approach. I'll just briefly show the process here. So there you go, the server's appeared and it's found it on my network. There's a connect button there, you can see the model number there and IP address. So if I now click connect, end user license agreement, let me confirm that, click OK. So now we've got a welcome back message and reinstall. So the drives in the system have been provided to me by Synology for testing purposes, so I'll just proceed with a reinstall and quickly shoot through the setup and get this up and running. You are all set. Let's take a quick guided tour of DSM. Go to that, got it. No thanks device analytics. So it just shows some basic information here. So tip 1, tip 2, settings are there. And there you go, as simple as that to get up and running on your network. So the first thing we're going to have a look at is the Ethernet connection on there. So if we go to control panel, go to network interface, and you can see the 2 separate Ethernet connections on there. So the advantage of this system is you can combine the 2 LAN connections for faster performance on here. So now if I click create bond, adaptive load balancing, that's the default one, and it says does not require any special network switch support and can connect 2 different switches. Next to that, you've got your 2 LAN connections selected. Click next. Network setup, we'll just go with the default here, which is just to use DHCP here, and I'll click apply. Click yes to that. So there you go, that's created now, and you can see in network interface the bonded connection there. So let me close this down now. We go to control panel again, go to advanced mode, and what we'll do, we'll create a share now quickly. So if I go to shared folder, go to create there, and it says no available volume, please create a new volume. I'll click OK to that. Then storage manager appears, shows you've got 2 unused drives, and storage pool, clicking on that. There's no pool of data there, so if I go to create, so now it's saying it's a better performance. This type of storage pool supports only a single volume but provides better performance. Higher flexibility, this type of storage pool supports multiple volumes, allowing higher flexibility in space allocation. So we'll go for the default better performance. RAID 1, it's mirrored. So that's the whole point of getting something like this, so you can protect your data. If one drive fails, it's just a matter of pulling that out and just putting a replacement in. So we will leave the description out, just click next to that. 2 drives are there, click next again. All the data on the newly added drive will be erased. Are you sure you want to continue? OK to that. Perform drive check, I'll just click no to that, just click next, and we'll click apply. There you go, that's completed now. Let me click OK to this, and you can see you've got a storage pool. RAID 1, so mirroring protection on there. So you can see there you've got 9 terabytes available out of the total of 10 on there. So now if I go to volume, I can create a volume on that pool of data. Next to that, choose existing storage pool. Next to that, that's the one we've created. Click next. We'll use their operating system on there. So obviously it's worth going with their one. Obviously you'll have the enhancement and the performance benefits with going with that. Next to that, I won't put a description in. Next, and apply. There you go, that's created now. So if I now close that down, we now go to create a shared folder, create there. We can call this Geek Street Docs. We'll enable the recycle bin on this, which is always good to have in case you lose any documents. You know they're going to end up in the recycle bin. Click next. Encrypt the shared folder. This is if you wanted to encrypt your data on there. I have no requirement for that, so we'll just click next. Enable data checksum for advanced data integrity. So that just provides some additional checks to your folder to ensure your data is valid and consistent in case of any issues. Then you've got enable shared folder quota. So if you had a share created and you had multiple people in your household going to that share, you can actually control it with this. So you can say you want to enable a quota, for instance, of just 10 gig, and that'll ensure that only 10 gig of data can be stored on there. If you go beyond that, it will just say share full. So useful to have that if you wanted to control usage. Let me disable that. Now go to next, and there you go, basic details about this. Let's click apply. It's appeared now, and you can see permissions for this. So you can amend permissions. So if you had multiple users on the system, you can deny access to some shares and allow access to others. And nice, you've even got a read-only option. So you can have some people being able to just see things in read-only mode. Additional options are now available if I go to advanced permissions. So here you've got advanced settings, so you can disable directory browsing, so you have to go directly to the location. So this you'd use in situations where you didn't want people to discover folders in there. Disable modification of existing files, very useful. So once you've put a file on there, you don't want anyone to amend it. That can be a useful one as well. Disable file downloading. As it says, it will just stop people from downloading the file. Got advanced share permissions here, so it's a share level permission. So this is different from the actual NTFS permissions you'd have on the system, and then you've got NFS permissions there. And that's it. It's quick as that to get a share created. And now if I click OK to that, and let's jump over to user. So if I click create, give it a name, Geek Street user 1, got to give it a password. Send a notification mail to a newly created user. That's if you've filled in the email part. Disallow the user to change account passwords. That's a useful one. If people are playing around changing their passwords on the system and forgetting them, instead of messing around, just disallow it. Okay, next to that, different groups on the server. So you've got the administrator group, web services group, so that's HTTP, and users group. So this adds the user in the users group. So if you wanted them to have privileged permissions to go onto the system and make changes, then you'd add them to the administrators group. So next to that, you can see there, so the share I previously created, there's no access to that. So now if I say read-write permissions, the user will have read-write permissions to that. Next to that, next again. Next we have assign application permissions. So these are the applications running on the system. So if you wanted to stop a user from using them, then you can deny it here. Next to this, now this is a useful one. You've got user speed limit settings. So if you wanted to limit the usage a user has on here in terms of bandwidth throttling, you can do this. Next to this, there you go, confirming settings here and apply. And as simple as that to add in a user. So this is the basics of getting a system up and running. You saw for yourself how to create the pool, create the volume, create the share, and then you've got a share available for people to use, and then I've shown how to create users on here. Next thing worth mentioning is the packages you can get in this. So if I go to Package Center, you've got to agree to the terms and conditions here, OK to that, acknowledge the privacy agreement, OK to that, and they're the apps you have available on here. So quite useful selection here. And if I compare it to another NAS server I've previously reviewed, I have to say the Synology suite of apps is far superior than something like TerraMaster would have. So already on this, if I scroll down just to show, first of all, you've got active backup for business. This allows you to back up workstations on your network. So useful for small home users. If you wanted to back up your computer, you can do it here. And if I click install, that'll be installing in the background. It's simple as that to get installed. Next, we've got Cloud Sync over here. And if I click install to that, that'll allow you to back up the data you have on a Synology drive into a cloud service. And now coming further down, Media Server. So this is excellent. So I use this myself, DNLA services on this. And if you've got a smart TV, it'll actually pick up any sort of media that's on the drive. So let's install that as well. And then we have Moments. So this will let you organize your pictures. So rather than pushing all your pictures to the cloud, you can dump them straight onto the server. So let me click install to that as well. So the apps have installed. Just to highlight some of the other things you've got on there, you've got an iTunes server, LDAP server on there as well, Mail Station, and coming further down, Migration Assistant, Photo Station as well, and Surveillance Station. This is a really good one. So if you had IP cameras on your network, you can actually connect them directly to an app on this and monitor them via this. Coming further down, you can see the other items there. Okay, and now if I carry on going, that's all the items you've got there. And then beta packages, so you can join their beta program to test out these applications. Now, if you wanted to see more details about each of these applications, just click in there scroll down and it gives you a description for the different items. So coming back, let's go to Active Backup for Business now. And it's running, you can see there, and if I click open, so now it's saying welcome to Active Backup for Business, and to activate this you've got to use your Synology account. So let me click activate to this. I'll agree to the privacy agreement next to that. Let me enter in my details, click activate, and there you go, package activated. If I click OK to that, this is what we're presented with. Now if I go over to PC, add a device, and the way this works is you've got to deploy a client onto your workstation. So on your computer, you just go here and just download the client. It's downloaded in the background there. There you go, it's installed. Launch application when finished. I'll click finish. So now if I minimize this, and it's asking for details for the server. Server name, username and password. Click connect to that, and we click OK to that. And now if I click OK, there you go. So now if we look in task list, you can actually see the backup job for the device. So if I go on there, edit that, I can make amendments on this. So at the moment it's set up to back up the entire device, or I can actually do a system volume only, custom volume. So if I click there, you can actually pick specific volume. So at the moment it's only got a C drive. If it had a D and an E, you could say I just want a particular one backed up. So that's useful. So at least you don't have to back up the whole lot if you didn't want to. Then you've got enable data transfer compression and enable data transfer encryption. So that encrypts your data so it's secure, and if it compresses it, the transfer rates will be quicker. Now coming over here to schedule, you can do a manual or set up a backup time for this. So at the moment it's set to 3 in the morning, but keep in mind if you do set these jobs up and they're late in the evening, remember to leave your computer on so it gets backed up. Next we've got retention, and this is where it will keep all versions of the backup or just keep certain versions of it. So you can see down here, if I click apply the following methods, you can see it only keeps 3 versions, keep all the versions for 1 day, etc. So very granular and very useful to have. Now cancelling out of that and looking over here, if you had a physical server, you can get that added in, file servers, virtual machines in there as well, storage. So very impressive bit of functionality on this. The fact as a home user you can back up the computers you have at home. Next one I wanted to show was Cloud Sync. So if I open that up, and you can pick a provider to sync your data to. So if I pick for instance Google Drive, click next to that, it'll ask me to log into my Google account. I've signed in. Now it's saying Synology Cloud Sync wants to access your Google account, so it needs access to the account to enable it to push data across. So I'll click allow to that. Cloud Sync requires the following permission. I'll agree to that, and there you go. So now local path on here, if I go there, Geek Street Docs, just that, I'll select that, and remote path, I can create a folder, Synology Backup, click OK to that, and there you go, it's created it. I can select that, and now if I create anything in there, it will back up to Synology Backup. Schedule settings, if I click on that, you can set up a schedule for when you want this to run. So at the moment it's enabled to run anytime. So if I just click OK to that, next to that, apply, and there you go, that's set up. So now this is syncing to the cloud continuously. So next, let's connect to the storage that's on the server. So if I now go to the server name, click enter, asking for a username and password, remember my credentials, so I have to keep typing them in, and click OK to that, and there you go, we're accessing it. So now, if I look in there, and if I create a file, notepad document, just put test in there, save that, minimize that, you can see updated 2 files. So now if I go to my Google Drive, go to Drive, so now I've logged in, I've gone to my Cloud Drive, Synology Backup, and there you go, you can see a text file. And if I now click on that, open it up, there you go, test. How cool is that? So you can have your data protected locally at home with mirroring on the drive, where the 2 drives are mirrored continuously, and then with a cloud service you can just push your data straight to the cloud. Next, just to show moments, so if I open this up, and this is quite a useful way of just backing up your photos on a regular basis so they all collate on the server. So if you didn't want to shift it to the cloud, you can push it here. Now, coming over to my mobile, this is the app you can install on your phone, so Synology Moments. If I open that up, and if I come over here to the side, photo backup not enabled, so I've actually turned off the automatic backup of all my photos. So I can actually set specific photos to be uploaded if I wanted to. So coming back, going to photos, if I click there, upload, and then what that will do, it will just go to my photos and I can just pick random ones there and then hit upload. I can create a new album or add it to an existing one, click on there, There you go, uploading in the background. And now coming over to my computer, albums, got the album there, and there you go, Geek Street Pics. So a great way of keeping your photos backed up and organized and in your own personal cloud, not using other services. Next, let's test out performance of the NAS server. So coming on my laptop here, you can see I've got a gigabit Ethernet connection. And if I now look over here, you can see folders on the NAS server. Now on my desktop, I've got a file which is 5 gig in size. And just to show the performance with copying this across to the server. Now, because I put on Media Server on here, so this is the DNLA service, I actually have some additional folders up here. So you can see music, photo, and video. These services will be broadcast on your network. So if you have a DNLA device, which I'll show in a moment, you can actually play any content that's in these folders. So now if I open up the video folder, take this file and copy it across, see what the performance is like. There you go. 113 megabits per second. So there you go, very good network performance copying over onto there. So if I delete this off my desktop and copy it back again, see if it's consistent, copying back. So there you go, good performance copying back again. There was a slight dip briefly and then it recovered again and we were consistently seeing around 110 megabits per second. Now looking on the server, there's a directory called home. Looking in there, you've got drive, let's go through there, and then you've got moments, and this is where the moments pictures are saved. So going in there, mobile, and then that's got my mobile phone name, and the pictures are in these two directories. So what I can do, if I just grab that for a moment, come back to the root of the server, got photo in there, and I'll just copy some of the photos in there. And there you go, that's come across very quickly. Okay, so now coming over to my smart TV, if I click on the source option, and this is an LG C9 OLED TV, and coming over here, you can see Test 1 Media Server. So it's picked up the server automatically. I haven't had to search for it, add any details in. It's only because we've got the media server running on there and the DNLA service is running, and hence it's picking it up. Now, if I select it, photo and video and music, so if I click photo and video, let's go to photo first. They're the photos I copied across. Just give it a second, and there you go. And the TV even has a slideshow option, so I can just do a slideshow going through the pictures if I wanted to. It's a nice option to have. Now coming back from there, back again, and then we go to video. You can see the video I copied across. If I select that, and there you go. That's streaming directly off the server. And that's a 4K video as well. I'll turn it up. And there you go, look at that. No issues at all, streams really well. It's a very impressive functionality here, the way you can just integrate different things in and get them working in conjunction with the server. So you're not limited to just using it as a server for storing your documents. You can actually use it as a media server too. Now, remote connectivity is available through the system as well. So you could be anywhere in the world, and rather than push data straight to the cloud, you could be connecting directly to your NAS and copy data onto it, or even sync your photos, for instance, and pull any data that you had on there off. So now to do this, you just go to Control Panel, Quick Connect, and enable Quick Connect. So you've got to log in with your Synology account. If you haven't got one, obviously you've got to register one. Once you've done that, you've got a cloud-based connectivity. Then you just got to set a Quick Connect ID, and I've just entered this in. And now what I'm going to do, I've disconnected my network connection, and I'm going to jump on a hotspot on my phone. So Android AP, just over there, I'll just click Connect. And this will be the equivalent of me out and about trying to connect onto the system. So now it's connected to the hotspot, and that's connected to mobile data. If I go to the plus, go to that link there, and the way I got that is from here. So it says you can just go to a web browser and type that in. And now if I press enter, it's trying to connect. There you go, got a login ID. So if I type in my username and password, click sign in, and there you go. Connected in remotely. So it's got the IP address of the server, you can see there. So it's connected via a URL. Now, if I wanted to upload or download data now, I can just go to File Station. You can see all my folders there. And if I go to one of them, for instance, so now if I select a file, go to Actions, Download, downloads it just over here. And if I look in my downloads, I look there and open with MS Paint. Here you go. So I can pull data directly off the server as well, no matter where I am in the world. Okay, so you've seen the unboxing and setup of this NAS server from Synology. This is the DS220 Plus. This is the successor to the DS218 Plus. And in terms of spec, it's a beefier spec on there, so a better CPU, faster RAM on there, an additional Ethernet port. So you're going to get better performance compared to the predecessor. If you're looking to upgrade from a DS218 Plus, I'd say not really going for this one, because obviously you're settling for something similar, just a slight improvement. If you're going to go up to the next level, I'd say go to a DS720 Plus, for example. Price wise, it comes in about the $350 mark, and really what you're paying for there is a reliable NAS server and all the add-on applications that come with it. You're not having to pay for any additional licenses and things like that. You've seen for yourself lots of functionality available from this. It's not just a standalone NAS server. You can back up your computers off this. You can run a DNLA service off this too, even back up the photos from your phone, for example. So there's all sorts of services available on this. I've just touched on a few of the ones available. So there you go. I hope it's helped anyone thinking of purchasing this. Details are in the description below. Hang around for the end cards, and I'll have a playlist with other NAS servers I've reviewed. Hit the like button if you like this video. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you liked about it. If you disliked it, let me know what you've disliked about it. Thanks for viewing, and see you in the next one.